So I was just out here taking a walk, and I was thinking about, neutrality, the importance of non-judgmental observance. And I started to come to, certain realizations revolving around non-judgmental observance, neutrality, and everything. What I realized is I kind of figured out how you could kind of describe neutrality and non-judgmental observance mathematically. Now, I'm going to just lay it down just like this. I just came up with this off the top of my head. And I don't know how accurate this is, but one way or the other, it's a pretty good example. Now, non-judgmental observance. What is non-judgmental observance? It's non, meaning not, to not judge, right? Now, we know that it's crucial that we don't judge, because when we're in non-judgmental observance and when we go into the observer mode, non-judgmental, not judging, we allow anything that comes to pass, we allow it to just be what it is without us adding, right, or subtracting anything. This is kind of like a mathematical example. Now, that being said, we don't allow anything to lift up these thoughts that come into, or these perceptions that come into our minds. We don't add our bullshit into the mix, into anything. We don't take away anything. It just is, right? Non-judgmental, none. So what does that mean? People, I want to kind of go deeper, and this will especially be interesting to people who are into mathematics, who have an analytical brain and a logical brain. What does that mean from a practical, logical standpoint, right? Well, when we judge and when we observe, that's like, okay, 1 + 1 = 2, + 5, + 6, + 10, 30, 50. It's just, we constantly, the level of bullshit and things that we can add on top of what the situation is, what the thoughts were, what that person is, what my feelings are, what his feelings are, what her emotions are, and so on. It can go on and on and on, right? And as well as multiplication, we can multiply it, subtract it. We can say, oh, this isn't that. We take away from it. We go, oh, they're not this isn't that. Subtraction. We're creating a system based on number values. We're giving value, in other words, right, to things, which basically is what numbers are, right? They're values. So, what does that mean for non-judgmental observance? Well, what does that mean for neutrality? Well, if neutrality means, and non-judgmental observance means to not do any of that, right? And it means to not assign value to anything, then what's the mathematical equation of neutrality? And non-judgmental observation, non-judgmental observer mode. It's 0. Yep. It's 0. Because with non-judgmental observance, you're not assigning any value. You're not taking away any value. 1 + 1 = 2. 1 minus 1 equals negative 2. But what is 0 plus 0? 0. What is 0 minus 0? 0. No matter which way you go with 0, it's going to be the same. But when you add, it can be different than when you subtract, and when you multiply, and when you divide. It's going to be different because you're assigning value, and when you assign value, there must be more value, so to speak. You know what I'm kind of what I'm trying to say? And so the point of what I'm trying to make is that that's the key. It's to allow things to be, just as 0 is, just as neutrality is, just as non-judgmental observance is. You don't assign any value. You just let things be. Just as 0 is 0, no matter which way that you add, subtract, multiply, divide it. And so I thought that was an interesting example that I came up with randomly as I was taking a walk here. And, and so that's my message too. To not only to invite you guys and us to, move more towards non-judgmental observance, towards neutrality. Just observe. Don't assign value. Don't make things more or less than what they are. Just observe. Be neutral. And what that means in mathematical terms is 0. Just let things be as they are. I think I don't know. I think it's interesting how I kind of came up with it like that. I don't know if this is the correct math, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was. Basically, neutrality equals 0. 0 is the same no matter what. So isn't everything not as it is, regardless of what we think or feel about it, or regardless of what value we assign to it? Think about that. So yeah, be neutral.